Good afternoon, welcome back. It's nice to be out sitting under the shade of the maple tree. But of course, I'm not sitting under the shade of the maple tree. But you already knew that because it's January here in Newfoundland. It's -9 Celsius outside. And that scene looks more like this. December, it's one of those months that a lot of your time is taken up anyway. And I was working hard on getting everything straightened so that I can start 2019 off properly. And I have myself a little room. There's a channel that I watch called the Voodoo Garden. He has a indoor grow room. And what's the other guy's name? There's a guy in Norway that also has one. And that's what I was thinking about doing with this room initially. But this is in the basement. There was quite a bit of work to do with it to make it proper. And as all basements go, when they're not finished, they're a collection for a lot of junk and knickknacks. And I had my grow light, which is behind the camera there, upstairs. And I realized that during the winter I have to use the grow light for my seed starting experiments. So I decided to move everything down here. And that shelf you may recognize from the sunroom. I brought it down here. I plan to do something different with the sunroom. Now I pretty much make the sunroom a total jungle. I'll have a little bit of potting stuff up there, but most of the potting stuff I can do here and then bring the potted plants to the sunroom. The wood stove is here. So this is the warmest spot in the house, which is one of the big reasons why I decided that yes, it's a good idea for me just to bring the grow light down here. There's my table. Got my computer there on that end. It doesn't really matter if I make a mess here, so I can pot away. And actually this morning I have 2 buckets. One there and one there with soil in. I sifted it all out onto the floor this morning and then put it back into the buckets. There's a money issue, but there's also the fact that I'm out in the middle of nowhere, so it's not like I can just go down the street and buy all the proper lighting. This is an LED, a replacement for a 125 watt bulb. And I have another one over there. Bouncing them off the white paper there and the white wall here, it sends a soft lighting over the background. And then I've got this light up here, which I think is a replacement for a 60 watt. It is a LED as well. All 3 of them are 5500 Kelvin, so that's daylight. And I can sit right there and do my computer work and videoing. In the winter, when it's really cold outside, I come down here, it's nice and warm. Come summer, when the heat gets too much for me, I can come down here and it'd be nice and cool and work away. Of course, I put a sheet over my computer to keep the dust that's down here from off the keyboard. I have one of these roll-up keyboards, so dust can't get into that. So my plan is to put more grow lights on there. I can move that fluorescent grow light further back and put another row of lights on that one shelf. I can put lights on the bottom, and we'll see when I get the rest of the basement straightened away whether this potting material will stay up there or will I move it somewhere else. If I move it, then I've got 2 more shelves that I can put seed starting on. And I will probably get some more of those 125 watts to use as grow lights to hang over some larger plants, and maybe have a plant or 2 on either side of my work table. This is my mulberry trees. I've already transplanted 3 of them into bigger pots. This one here, it didn't come to anything. It grew a little bit and then just decided to die. I have another one here that's growing nicely. And another one, so that's 5 growing nicely. This one is stunted. This one is coming along. Another stunted one. But I'm going to put them all up into bigger pots now. When you're out shopping for groceries, as we inevitably will, because there's no way you can be 100%, well, you could, I guess, if you change your diet to the real old-fashioned ways. You can grow or raise 100% of your own food and drinks. But for the stuff that you are buying in the store, think about the packaging. I drink coffee, and I get them in these containers. I try to get this type of container because I know I can use it as a planter. I do have some of these. This is cardboard side, but I think they'll be okay for a planter as well. See, I'm going to have to move my mulberry trees over to this side. And I'm going to put holes in the bottom of this, just around the edge. To turn this into a planter. It's going to use a Forstner bit, I believe that's called. That way, this one cuts better than your regular drill bit. You don't have to push so hard. So I probably won't break the plastic. You know, that's a little big. I think I'm going to switch back to this drill bit and just make more holes instead of having those big holes. So there, that's the bucket with holes around the edge. Should be good enough. Just to make sure that when I've got it up this way, if there's water down here, it can reabsorb back into the planter. So I need to put some soil in there first. Like so. Take that, turn it upside down, give it a push through the hole. I usually like to do this when the soil is a little bit dry because I don't, that happens. When the soil is dry, it usually holds together into one mass. I'm actually going to bring these up to the sunroom and water them in once I get them in the sunroom rather than do it here. Because water, I don't want water flowing out over my table. So I'll put that water down there for now. And I'm going to plant up, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more to do. I'll plant up those 5 and then I'll show you the sunroom. So here we are, up in the sunroom. Those are the 3 that I had already planted. These are the 6 that I brought up. I'll take my watering can now and water those in. I'll absorb that and then I'll put a bit more in afterwards. So as for the sunroom, that's where the shelf that I have downstairs now is. This is my vermicomposter. I have some compost worms in there. They're not doing as fast as what I understood they would do by the internet stuff and what my friend was telling me. Still have my old table there and chair. Now, this sunroom depends on some solar gain. And we've had cloudy day after cloudy day after cloudy day for the past 3 months. And last week, we had 2 days where it went down to -27 at night. The first night, the tomatoes survived. And then we had another one. Actually, the second night, the thermometer registered -28. Now, this one is still quite droopy. This is this first plant here. It's a yellow pear tomato. The second yellow pear tomato, it looks like it's coming back. So it might still survive. What happened on those nights, like I said, because we weren't getting solar gain, it wasn't all that warm here. And I have a thermometer right there. As you can see now, it's only 7 degrees here. But it was just barely above 0. The hand was down touching the 0 mark. Which that's Celsius, so that's freezing. Tiny Tim, he is an hardier plant anyway, but you can see that it took its toll. I'm happy here. This is the first cloned down here. Yes, better bush. So this is my first clone better bush, and I added in near the house, and of course the open window is right there. So it didn't take much damage at all. This one, Starfire Improved, has hardly anything. Went good. And this is Rugter's, which is supposed to be, I think, a paste tomato, one of those that they make tomato paste out of. This is the monstrosity one. Now, the first big tomato that I was showing you in previous videos, it ripened up. And here is the pictures I have of it. I have other ones on there, they're all green still. This was the second one that I had to put in a sling, and it's starting to get ripe, but I don't know what will happen now because this plant looks pretty limp. I don't know if that's going to come back or not. This one I thought was dead as well. That's the other better bush, the mother plant. This one is, where is the label? Oh, right here. So this is Scotia tomato, developed in Nova Scotia, Canada. And it's surviving. So that's a good tomato. I have some ripe yellow pear tomatoes. I never knew tomatoes could taste good until I grew my own. The stuff in the store is a tasteless blob of mush. Of course, now these plants, they're not going to be hurt by the cold anyway. That's a cabbage, a kale, another kale, a green sprouting broccoli. This little guy here that doesn't seem to want to grow any, but still quite alive, is a cauliflower. Now, as for the melon plants that I had growing here, they died when the temperature started to get consistently below 15 degrees, which is not a surprise. This was the cucumber plant, and it died when the temperature started to get consistently below 10 degrees. Sea buckthorn, I got some new seed for that, so I might get some more plants now. I have the two there though. They are growing well. Well, they're not growing because it's cold temperature, but they're holding up well, should I say. They won't be growing per se until the temperatures warm up. An American pawpaw. I'm hoping it comes back because that is an experiment which I will tell you about more when I do the What Grows Here Perennials video. This is the other original better bush. Now when I showed you this originally, you see this stick here, I had left it out in the garden too long and all the top part died. It was just like completely dead, and then it sprouted out again here. Now, I don't know if this one's getting root bound. I think I might transplant it, but I'm going to cut it off and let it grow up from below. All of this limp stuff here I'm going to cut off. And I'm going to cut that. I think I'm going to cut right down there. these couple green tomatoes, I'm going to take those in. And I understood from some report somewhere where I don't remember where I heard it, but green tomatoes are supposed to make a good fried treat. So now this I'm just going to ball up and give it to the worms. So there it is. Cut down once again, and it'll regrow from that little shoot. I have another big planter similar to the one that's in the corner over there. I'm thinking I might put it in that. We will see. And now we are inside again by the bay window, and back to the talking about the cold that I'd gotten out in the sunroom. Peppers don't like cold, as you probably know. I have two here. They look dead, but I'm hoping they come back because it's very difficult to grow peppers here. So I think I need to keep them as perennials by bringing them inside during the winter. I am going to decide on the best way to just make them completely dormant and maybe put them in my cold room in the basement. This is the original Apache pepper, and that is the two Apache peppers that look most like the parent. This one, he's obviously going to survive. But as you can see, not all the leaves on this one is like the parent. And this was the odd one out. And while it did get damaged from the cold, it is still quite alive. So it's hardier than the original Apache pepper. I've had some aphid issues that I'm dealing with. That's probably why the brown leaves, I'm not sure. This is getting to be quite a big plant, and I'm going to have to cut it back again soon. I cut this back twice since I brought it in here. It is actually growing quite nicely. It could also be the lack of sunshine because, as I already stated, we've had 3 months of very little sunshine. This thing though has decided to grow nicely. When it starts getting more sun now, it should grow real nicely. Of course, in the summer I can put it outside. And sweet marjoram. Smells nice too. I lost my lime basil to the aphids, and this one here is drooping. He might come though. You see down the bottom, it's all getting woody over time. You end up with a woody bush for your basils. I transplanted this one to a bigger pot. The tiny tim that I had here in little cups. There's a bunch of tomatoes all getting right back there. One of them I still have left in a cup, and there's some bunch of tomatoes getting ripe on that one. This is the rosemary, which once again it seems to be doing much better since I put it here. And this is the only fat and sassy pepper plant that I have growing well. Then I had to put this one out near the window so you would get more sunshine. The chives, they were starting to get anemic back in the back. So that's that. Struggles like you would. Oh, I had to bring those in here. This is 2 goji plants, and Here's two more. I had 4 growing here. When I had this grow light up in the living room, try as I might, things didn't want to grow up here. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this down here where it's warmer. But I put a plastic bag over them, and these two perked up again, and they were growing well. It's still heavy, so it's still water in it. And so now I've taken the bag off them here and see what happens. And the other thing I did of interest was that I wrapped up my purple smoke bush. So next year you might get to see what it looks like with some really nice full blooms on it. And that is my update for the end of 2018. I hope you enjoyed it. Please click the like, and most of all, leave me a comment. I'll see you in the next video.